Hey there, Improv Tipsters. Paul Vaillancourt here, and today's improv tip is actually a Q&A. I'm answering two questions that I think are pretty closely related. The first question is, what do you do in a failing scene? And the second question is, what do you do if you can't figure out the game of the scene? All right, so I'll address them in order. The first one is about a failing scene. Well, the first thing is, if you're in a failing scene, it means that you're sort of like pulling back, or if you think you're in a failing scene, it means you're pulling back from the scene a little bit, and you're looking at it and you're judging it, right? And once you start to judge it, yourself or your partner or the scene, you're getting into a really tricky spot, because then you're not accessing your full creativity. You're not really in the scene, in the moment, committed to what's happening. You're pulled back a little bit and you're judging it. Okay, so ultimately I would say the first thing is really stick in the scene, really commit to your partner and really focus on them. If you focus on your partner, that helps a lot of improv problems, because I'm not thinking about myself or the result. I'm committing to the process, right? Which is an interaction, a live interaction between me and my partner. Okay, that's the ideal situation. But I know from experience that that's not always possible. You're in a scene, you're working hard, and you're like, oh man, I really feel like I'm working hard, but like nothing's happening, or we're just kind of missing each other, or it's just kind of falling flat. I get all of that, okay? So what then? Well, then you have to commit to the scene. You have to double down. You have to push all your chips in on this scene, because as I've said before, I feel like learning how to improvise is like learning how to fight. And in a fight, you fight until it's done, or you're dead. Until that fight's over, or you're dead. You don't have any other option. You're fighting for your life. The same thing with the scene. You've got to approach it with that sort of urgency and insistency that you're going to give it everything you've got while you're there. One thing I really hate to watch is a scene that's like blasé, where the characters, not even the characters, the players don't really kind of care what happens. They're just kind of saying their bullshit out there and whatever. You know, they're sort of like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. They're sort of half committed. I hate that. I'd much rather see two people get in there and like really commit to it and show me something interesting, or show me at least the human drama of them being in this scene and really committing to it, right? So I think another thing that helps a failing scene too is to really push all your chips in and really recommit to it. If you're in a scene, you feel like, oh man, I don't know about this scene, then really boom, dig in more. Okay, but then in what way, Paul? How do we dig in more? Well, I think that here's the thing. Okay, I think that if every scene is about relationship, which I've said before, and I really believe that every scene is about relationship. If every scene is about relationship, then if the scene is failing, that means somehow we're off relationship. We're not relating to each other anymore, right? So how do we get back on a relationship? How do we dig back into that relationship between those two people? Well, and this is very practical, and this is very simple, is when I'm in a scene that's struggling, or I feel like I'm off track or off relationship, then I do this. I turn to my partner in three ways. I turn to them physically, I turn to them mentally, I turn to them spiritually, and then I say something about them, right? I say something about my partner, not about myself, about my partner. Now, why about my partner, not about myself? Well, I say something about my partner because then that hooks the two of us together. That hooks the two of us together and starts us back relating again, right? That jumpstarts the core of that scene, which is a relationship, that we are relating to each other in the moment as the audience watches, right? But if I say something about myself, then I'm just here's the thing about me. They may react to it, they may not. But if I say something about them, then they sort of have to deal with me, right? I've sort of injected some life into our relationship. I've sort of put something in the space between us, right? And then they've got to react to it somehow, and then we go from there, right? And then we sort of, again, push all our chips in, commit, double down, get after it. But this is the first step to that, right? If I feel like the scene is struggling, usually, I'll turn to my partner and I'll say something about them. Okay, now let's get to the second question. What do you do if you can't figure out the game of the scene? Well, I sort of feel like the game of the scene is something about the relationship. So I think this answer is really closely related. If I can't figure out the game of the scene, right? And sometimes people feel like the game of the scene is this sort of abstract thing outside of the characters, but I really feel like the game is something between the two characters. So if I can't figure out the game of the scene, it's sort of usually because I haven't made that big decision about myself or about my partner, right? That big character, that big playable gift ding, ding, like in this video here, I haven't made that that big decision. So then our characters aren't clear, and so our relationship isn't clear. So we haven't figured out how we're relating to each other, and so the scene is a little bit gray, and a little bit sloppy and mushy, right? So how do I do that? Same thing as before, right? In my last answer, I turn to my partner and I say something about them. I give them that big playable gift, because if they have that big playable gift, that one motor is enough to run the scene. That one motor is enough to run the scene. Okay? It's better if it has two motors. They have a big playable gift and I have a playable gift, but that one will get it going. We'll sort of keep it sustained enough to get us to that next edit, right? So those are the two questions, and those are my two answers. Answer down below. What do you think? What do you do in a failing scene? And what do you do if you feel like you can't figure out the game in the scene? I think these are really, what I liked about these two questions is I think they're very relatable. I think everyone's sort of been through these two trials by fire, and I'm interested in how you guys have coped with it. So I'll look forward to your comments down below, and I'll see you next week. Hey friends, thanks for checking out the video, and if you want to hear a little bit more, check out one of these two quality videos. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and follow us on social media. All the links are in the description down below, and let me know what you would like to see an improv tip about. Thanks for watching.